Um, Welcome, everybody, to an episode of Change Starts With Us, Ohio. Today, we have Pat Shank, um, Sarah Willoughby, and what's your brother's name? Jason Shank, that's joining us today. And we'd like to welcome them. They're going to talk a little bit about their father's situation, what led him to prison, and more. It's just good to have all three people aboard with us. Okay, guys. Sarah, would you like to go first?
Yeah, because Jason's still away.
Okay. So, Pat, it seems to me that your children are very supportive of you.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard if I could make it out, Sarah.
Okay. You might, yeah.
We're really supportive of you.
Yeah.
They are.
I would like to discuss some of the stuff with the trial. I know you guys are witnesses on behalf of your father. Did the courts allow you to speak at the trial?
No.
They did not.
No, in the first trial, me and Jason were not allowed to testify. In the second trial, I testified, but Jason did not.
Okay, that we're getting that quite often from other people that got arrested in Medina. But without you guys testifying, that kind of destroys your father's case because you guys were witnesses at the time. You knew the crime did not occur. So I don't know if this was Judge Kimbler or the other one.
It was Judge Collier that me and Jason weren't allowed to testify. Jason was, and it sucks too because Jason was the best witness out of all of us, considering he was best friends with the quote-unquote victim.
Right. How many so-called victims were there? Just one, correct?
Yeah, there was only one, and then there was two others that just had stories to back her up pretty much. But
well, yeah, I know. I got cussed out by one of them on here, and that's fine. They could watch and they could say whatever they want, but we're not going to stop doing what we do because of some people wanting to exaggerate or even tell total lies.
I'll tell you what she told these other people what to say. They planned it in a basement over a kid named Rusty's house, his basement with Mark Servan, because I kicked his butt for trying to rape my daughter. So that's what happened in all this. And then the biggest thing is in the court, when we were in court, if my kids would have got to testify, the jury would have seen I never gave my kids no medicine, none. And I'm anti-drug completely, and you can ask my kids. And that's why they didn't want us to testify. They even kept me off the stand when I wanted on the stand.
Yeah, I'm not so sure how much of that was actually legal for them to do, but that's something you would have to get from an attorney. But getting you saying you can't testify or your kids, I don't think is really necessarily correct.
Well, it was definitely because we had plans. The lawyer knew all of us was supposed to testify. He said, yes, you will be testifying. Then when we were in the courtroom, he sort of turned the story around and wouldn't let no one. He was on the court side by trial attorney Ken Lewis. He failed everybody. That's
right. Well, this, I do believe something good's going to happen. And I think your case may get overturned. I mean, they can't just keep locking innocent people up for crimes they did not commit. Medina is probably one of the worst cases. We got a guy in death row that's not guilty, convicted of the judges in Medina.
Right. That's very bad courtroom. The whole legal system right now, people should not believe in it at all. It's bad. It's no good. And I think we need more people to do rallies and really fight for the innocent people in prison right now.
Right.
The innocent people get blamed for lies.
Yeah. Well, next year, we're planning on hitting the common police courts to protest, where the prosecutors are at. That would include Medina. We did Cuyahoga County last year, and I would like to hit Medina this coming year in the late spring. And let's bring these prosecutors and judges to their knees, and let them know we know what's going on.
took their sleeping medicine or anything, Jason, when you were younger?
No, he didn't.
Yeah, I think Jason told me that at the protest. If that's the same guy that was there, I can't remember. But I've heard from Nancy that you're anti-drug. So I believe you. And I don't care what other people say. The truth has to come out. I even called the judge's office in Medina and asked them for an interview, and they hung up.
Hell no, they ain't. They know they're in trouble. They're still going to cover their own asses. That's what Medina does.
Well, I'm still working on it, though. I want to see what they have to say. I know Kimbler, his wife, has taken over, but kind of convenient.
Not even got convicted in the first place is because Judge Killer was retiring, and he didn't want to look bad by letting my dad go, so he convicted him. That's why my dad was facing way more years than he got, and that's why, because Judge Kimbler knew it was a bunch of shit, so he had to sentence him something.
Right.
She ran out of the courtroom, admitted it was all lies. She said, I can't lie anymore, and took off. 3 times she took off. And they kept on trying to get her, and she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to do it. They were forcing her to do it, threatening her.
What about your attorney that you had? Was it a public defender or a paid attorney?
It was a paid attorney.
Yeah, defense attorney, $75,000.
I take it he did not represent you to the best of his ability.
Well, the second one, we had 3 lawyers the last time because the second trial, that's the Elizabeth lady that came from out of state, right?
Yeah, we were arguing with her, too. She wouldn't put me on the stand. I was fighting with her in the courtroom. I fired her in the courtroom because she wouldn't put me on the stand.
Okay. Yeah.
She just asked me a bunch of bullshit questions.
Let me say this much. I know just a little bit about courts. Sometimes when you're being accused of a sex crime, you don't want the perpetrator or so-called perpetrator on the stands where you could be cross-examined.
Well, that's why it makes Dad even look more innocent, because Dad didn't care about being cross-examined. He wanted to just tell his truth and be done with it. He wouldn't have let the prosecutors tear him apart. Because there's nothing to tear apart. My dad was innocent.
Right.
Right.
I think we need to start a letter campaign and a media campaign where these videos get sent to both letters to the editor, Cleveland.com, Cleveland Plain Dealer, Columbus Dispatch, and let's expose Medina County.
Well, the biggest thing is Judge Kimbler says, I don't give a shit if you are innocent, you're guilty. He told me that straight in the courtroom. He straight out said that.
Right.
Kimbler has a history, though, of badgering people on the stand. I know people that personally they've gotten really ridiculed by Judge Kimbler because, he's disrespectful. He has a history at Medina.
Yeah, I can tell that just by talking to other people that had him. It seems like he does not give out probation very often.
It's just, and then all the courts are trying to block us out. Now we're in federal court, and we're hoping this federal judge really looks at this, know this is all lies, and you can't just put someone in here because someone went around saying, hey, this guy did this to me, can you testify for me in court? And that's what she did. She got all these lying people in there to lie for her. Right.
Hey, if anybody's watching this video on any of the platforms, please say hi so we know how many people are watching. Okay. So how many people did you have on your side in the courtrooms at the time of the trial?
Yeah, wow. We even had my friends that knew these people wrote letters, and then the ones that couldn't come and testify because of personal reasons, they wrote letters.
Right.
And then I even had friends that came and testified in person. To testify in person, and I guarantee you, if this went back to trial, they would do it again.
Yeah. How many people do you think you could get at a protest in late spring in Medina County?
You know what the judge told me though, Jim, about witnesses? He goes, "We're not going to do this anymore. I don't give a crap what you say or what your lawyer says. You ain't bringing no more witnesses in the courtroom." That's what he told me straight out.
But that's fine. But he's not dealing with just anybody now. He's dealing with a greater bag of people. There's going to be more people involved once we expose them through protesting in Medina County. We only can do that once a year. Letter campaigning, contacting the news media. I sent the one that Sarah did, which had a heck of a lot of views, like 270 views. I sent that to every news station. And I did get responses back from a few. But
Ohio Correctional Facility and may be recorded and monitored. I know one thing, I'm tired of my kids feeling guilty over this crap.
Your kids shouldn't feel guilty. Your kids have your back. And I know that by how they went after the so-called victim on Messenger, sticking up for you when this lady accused you of everything.
Oh yeah, we tore her apart, and then our friend came on there and tore her apart as well.
Yeah, and I was too busy kind of laughing at how Sarah went after her. Nobody had to have her back. She did a good job on it, and of course, she blocked all of us on YouTube, but she's still on YouTube on our channel, and I'm letting her stay there.
The phone call is about to end on him, but he'll call back.
That's fine. Make sure you call back, Pat.
All right, love you, bye. All right, he's going to call back in a second.
Right. Oh, by the way, congratulations on the baby.
Thank you.
Oh, so I hate to see your bills at your house now.
You what?
I know it's expensive.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, he goes through a lot of diapers too.
Yeah, well, when I was a kid, they had the cloth diapers.
Oh God, they have those now, but I won't do that.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't do it.
No, that would be a lot of laundry.
Yeah.
My kids use Pampers. Now, what's your brother's name?
Jason.
Jason, were you dating this girl at one time?
Jason. Yes, if you were dating Ruby at this time.
No, we were just best friends, and I loved her.
Sometimes the people we love aren't always the people that are good to love.
Oh, I've learned that a lot.
So, and it's none of your guys' fault. This, it's people that want to sit there and lie. And when you're convicted or charged with a certain crime, you're not going to get a fair hearing.
I know.
So, I hear him back now. Okay. Why don't we walk through? You had two trials, I take it. One through Kimbler, one through the other judge. Why don't we refresh the people and go through some of the pointers of the trial on how the trial went, who was permitted to testify, who wasn't. Let's refresh these people on it a little.
Yeah.
I can't hear him. I can't hear him at all.
Oh, yeah. You want to talk to Dad, you said?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Any of you, I would like to refresh the people on the court proceedings, because, I know you guys weren't allowed to testify, but what did they allow the so-called victim to do?
I mean, they all had a chance to go on the stand, and that's what sucks is because we never had a chance to tell our side of the story. Like, my dad would have never gotten convicted in the first trial if me and Jason were allowed to testify. Like, right. Our friends were allowed to go up there and testify. Like, my friend Brittany got to go up there.
Right.
He defended my dad. And so did Kayla.
He lived in our house.
Yeah, Brittany lived with us. And she told me, she was over here a month ago or so. She told me if she had to, she'd do it again. She'd defend my dad.
Yeah. Well, the one reason I believe your father's innocent is because nothing ever happened to you kids. And if you read through psychological books on sexual misconduct, if you live with your kids, a lot of times they were happened with your kids, then to others, and nothing happened there. So why would your father target somebody else?
Exactly, and then why would he, like, I had plenty of girlfriends, and none of them, like Brittany and Kayla, and Jesse, none of them, they all loved my dad. And
Right.
They all defended my dad. My dad, if he was a predator, he'd go after any girl that came over here, not just specific one.
Right. Right.
Anybody that would fit his quote-unquote age preference, that they say.
The biggest thing is I threw these people out a number of times trying to get my kids to do bad stuff, drugs and shit, drinking and shit. And I would throw them out. Like
Right.
Mark Savan, my house for that last time. I was downstairs with one of my band members talking to him, and he came over without me knowing and took my son out of my house. Now Mark was in his 20s, and he took my son that was underage out of my house over to another person's house without no permission, and then took him to a state liquor store and bought Jack Daniels, and then brought him back to my house drunk.
Wow.
So I kicked his butt. So, and I'm in prison.
Right.
So this is what needs to be brought out. It needs to be brought out from the beginning. What really happened?
Yeah, that's another thing. Mark was in his 20s. Ruby was still a teenager, and the next day they came over to get Mark's shirt because Mark left his shirt here.
Right.
And Ruby and Mark came over, and they said that they just got caught in the park having sex.
Huh.
And Mark's in his 20s. So,
Huh.
if anybody's guilty of having sex with underage people, it's him.
Right. If somebody pressed charges and they didn't do anything, he's a snitch.
Well, that's the thing. Mark Cervantes was known as the snitch of Medina. He would literally befriend people and then do drugs with them and then bust them.
Well, I'm not saying this is what should happen, but snitches get stitches, as your father knows. That's a saying in the joint.
Family.
Yeah, and we have to get the word out. This is a battle that is tough to win, just because 10 years ago, or slightly before that, is when people started convicting sex offenders, even the wrong ones, just to get a name for themselves, especially prosecutors.
Right.
And
no.
You know,
they're wrong, and they're protecting Mark. Even these people, Mark has sex with all these girls, and so he's got them all on his side. So it's going to be a battle to fight this. You know what I'm saying? So.
Right. Do you know any of the girls that he tried to?
Tried to what?
Have sex with? Because if you could get an affidavit from them saying what happened.
Well, that's the thing. Like, the only person that would be willing to come forward to say anything is me when he tried to get me to have sex with him and Ruby in my bathroom upstairs. That's why I got kicked out of the house, because him and Ruby were trying to do stuff in our bathroom that's upstairs.
Right.
I went in there.
And you would be a hostile witness. They wouldn't accept it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the other two girls, Nicole and Kara, they won't come forward because they know if they do, they're, they'd be in trouble.
Well, I don't know how much trouble they would be in,
Even if they don't file charges on them, Dad, they'd still get in trouble with the state, right, Jim?
No. Yeah. If they were minors at the time, nothing's going to happen to them. For the most part. But you can check, though, by calling, you don't want to call Medina County. Call another county and ask them.
They're going to tell us that they don't like us because I threw cops out of my yard. I threw all kinds of people, when they tried to harass my kids, ride their bikes in the yard.
Yeah, we used to ride dirt bikes, and we used to get the cops called on us all the time for long noise ordinance and shit.
Right.
Even though we were Yeah, there was no noise ordinance because where we live, but our neighbors just didn't like the noise, you know.
Right.
Well, right, they're four-wheelers, but not my kids on their dirt bikes.
Right.
So
Right.
So they were harassing the hell out of us the whole time. Medina, that's all it's about. Harassment, hate crime. So that's what it is.
Yeah, Medina is all about keeping up their upstanding community bullshit name. It's a fruity town.
What the thing that ticks me off is I know half of the public officials because I went to school with them. Bill Lamb, who was the mayor of Medina. Two of the councilmen I went to school with.
Who is the mayor of Medina now?
I don't know. Bill Lamb left the mayor to become a councilman. You might want to talk to Bill Lamb. Just tell him you know me and let him know exactly what happened. And see if he could give you some suggestions.
Well, they illegally took my phone, my personal phone that I use for work, for my union pipe fitter.
Right.
My phone, and Mark lied and said I had pictures on it. They took it, and they didn't want to give it back to me, but there was no pictures on it. And they knew it, and some Officer Stone had to deliver it. When he delivered it back to me at 10 o'clock at night, he said, I just want you to know, I don't care if you didn't do nothing. I'm going to get you. I'm going to take you down. Watch.
But I wish you had witnesses in this, because they make sure they say it with nobody around.
Well, that's all. I told him, get the hell out of my driveway.
Right. Well, I think we could make it hard for Medina County, especially if we plan a protest for late spring. And if Sarah could get some of your supporters there, I'll get people from Cleveland there. And we'll have a pretty big protest, actually a rally. I'd rather call it a rally because we're there for one cause, and that is to bring awareness of what happened in your situation, not just yours, but Frank's, this guy on death row, all had the same judges and were found guilty with no solid evidence.
Well, that was terrible. I had no evidence against me either. None. I even gave my blood, everything. I gave everything.
Yeah. The only good thing about you is you're going home where these guys are doing life sentences and one's on death row. Granted, you want to be cleared. You want your name to be cleared, and I agree 100% with you.
They need to review it, and they need to do it now. People need to make a lot of noise for him and everybody else. And people ought to appreciate you more, Jim, because how you're doing it. You're standing strong doing it.
I've gotten a few death threats. I've been cussed out, and I don't really care. At my juncture of my life, it's time to bring people down that's been lying on others. So, when we had that protest in Cleveland, I think your son was there. Your signs made channel, I think it was Channel 5 News pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I think Sarah filmed it because I heard her in the background, and that's the one we use for our YouTube is the one that she did. I think that was a start. But if we have one in Medina and target the reasons, we're going to get more media there, I'm pretty sure. So, and I would, if I was your family, I can't do this myself, but your family can contact Channel 5 and ask for an interview. Tell them exactly what happened and don't hold back.
Yeah, that's what we need to speak out more to get the truth down. If you don't speak out, then nothing happens. If a quiet mouth don't never get, nothing happens. You gotta speak.
Right. Nancy said you wanted to be on sometime, but for some reason she never responded back to me. But I would like to get her take on it. But I think most importantly, the family needs to really speak out on this and be heard. And I want to do videos every couple months or so. I want people to be refreshed. Pat, you don't have to be there all the time. I think your daughter does a great job. Hell, people listen to hers because you look at how many views she's gotten on it. You know, she beat me by like 200 views.
Sarah, I wish we can get Kara to talk about stuff, Sarah. If Jason and Sarah would get a hold of Kara, I think Kara would come forward and know.
We tried to get a hold of Kara, Dad.
No, you can't do it over the phone. You got to find her parents' house and tell them to please get her to tell the truth.
Well,
She will.
the only way I would be willing to do it is if Sarah was on it as well.
Sarah.
Kara's last name is Armstrong.
How old is she now?
How old is Kara?
Yes.
She's older than me.
We met her.
Okay.
We met her when she was 19. She came over with my son Josh's girlfriend. I don't remember her name either.
Yeah, she graduated a year before me or something like that. Or 2 years before me.
Yeah.
Okay.
She only came over my house a couple of times.
Right.
Most of over my house, she was out on the back deck, or we used to have this chocolate fountain on our dining table. We used to make chocolate strawberries and stuff, and they used to eat it with them.
That sounds good. Yeah. But how does she know nothing happened? Was she there enough?
No, she's one of the girls that said something.
Okay. That's what I want to hear then.
But Dad never got charged for her because she was discredited because of her. She was like caught lying on a stand or something.
I'm not so sure that would be a good person to contact, and I'm going to tell you why. The prison system could use this against your father, contacting a person that was involved in the trial or was part of it for a short time.
Well, I tried to get a hold of her once, and she blocked me after, but she told me that she would file harassment charges.
Well, that will not be indicted, Sarah, and that's what made the jury look at me weird, because
Hey, why don't we continue this next week one day?
All right, this is going to end. I will talk to you guys tomorrow, Sarah, and everybody. All right, people want to use the phone, all right?
All right, Dad, love you.
Okay.
Love you, Jake.
And Sarah and Jason, do you have anything you would like to add before we close this?
Give me 1 second. Jason had to go check on my son for me. This night look, he was trying to get my attention, but he's coming right now.
The biggest thing is I want everybody to know about that medicine. I got blamed for something I would never give my kids, ever. So I want to make that a strong point so it's well heard.
We will.
So,
I believe you. I believe nothing happened with your kids. Don't worry about that. I don't believe everybody that I've interviewed is innocent, but I do believe Pat is your father.
Thank you for using TTL. All right, so what did you want to ask Jason?
Do you guys have anything last that you'd like to talk? And I want to do this again in a couple weeks or next week with your father, and so he could answer more questions. But I would like you guys to jot down some of the highlights the next time that you would like to discuss. And let's start going directly after Medina.
Okay.
So, is there anything else you guys would like to say at the end here? Is there anything you'd like to add?
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay, Sarah, Jason, thank you for joining us, and we'll continue this again in a week or two. Just pick a date with your father and let me know.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, now we're going to try to call Candace. So let's just see if she's on. Because I really want to get her on here as well. Maybe she's not going to pick up. Huh. I'll try again. Well, folks, as you can see, there is people that's being locked up that is totally innocent of the crimes. Medina County is starting to, they have been convicting some people that were not wrongfully convicted. And I know firsthand that our judicial system is flawed. I was convicted, of attempted kidnapping, and that's not what happened in my case. I only got 6 months. So, please check out our website at www.changestartswithusohio.org. Again, that is www.changestartswithusohio.org. Our email is changestartswithusohio@gmail.com. Everybody, have yourself a great, great night.